We have some positive news about the Montreal Canadiens. Yes, they got 1 point last night against the Blue Jackets. Today, we talk about the Montreal Canadiens news, followed by the review game versus the Blue Jackets. And finally, we're going to talk about the NHL news, what I learned since the beginning of the season. Montreal called up Delgado from the Laval Rocket just in case if Strobel cannot play. Strobel played last night against the Blue Jackets. Martin St-Louis announced before the game he makes some change about his line. Budzik was on the first line with Suzuki and Caulfield. Sakoski was on the second line with Demidov and Kapanen. Roy joined Evans and Anderson. And finally, Davidson stayed with Veleno and Gallagher. Let's talking about the review game between the Montreal and the Blue Jackets. First of all, the Montreal Canadiens lost by the score of 4-3 last night and shootout. But Montreal get 1 point, and that's what is the most important thing after they have some kind of difficulties. In the last 7 games, Montreal have a record of 1-4-2. And the goal again average now is at 4.29 in the last 7 games. Here, the game summary of the Montreal Canadiens. Montreal lost 1-0 after the first 20 minutes. Overall, Martin, should we talk about the fact that Montreal did not play well during the first period? He talked about the productivity together. His 5 players on the ice was not good enough for Martin St-Louis. I really like the first period for me for Sakoski with Demidov and Kapanen. Montreal in the second period, in the last 4 games, the goal differential is minus 11, include the 2 goals they gave last night. Unfortunately for them, they play a better second period in the last 4 games, but there was a score on the scoreboard because Columbus scored 2 goals. First, Adam Fantilli at 9:45 scored a goal after Kapanen tied the game 1-1 at the beginning of the second period. And then on the power play, Voronkov tipped the pass from Marchenko to give the lead by 2 goals to the Columbus after 40 minutes. At that moment, Montreal was still in the game. They just need to be more opportunistic and create some better high-danger shot in front of Graves. Then at the third period, that's exactly what happened. Martin St-Louis make a chance to bring back Sakoski with Caulfield and Suzuki, and Kapanen play with Demidov and Budzik. Then Josh Anderson at the middle of the third period cut the lead to 2-1 with a great goal. And then Lennartson scored to tie the game and bring that game to the overtime. And overtime was all about Montreal Canadiens. 6 shots versus 0. And at the end, Demidov, great opportunity from the net, but Graves makes a big save with no rebound. And we pushed the game all the way to the shootout. And at that moment, the Columbus scored 2 of the 3 attempts and win the game against the Montreal Canadiens. The goal for the Montreal Canadiens last night, Kapanen, 7th goal of the season. Great play by Mike Madison. Saw Kapanen alone in front of the net. Then Josh Anderson took the rebound of Lane Hudson's shot to cut the lead by 1 goal. And finally, Lane Hudson shot the puck and scored to tie the game for the Montreal Canadiens. It was his 2nd goal of the season. Demidov and Sakoski have a +2 last night. I really like their game against the Columbus Blue Jackets, and also Lane Hudson have a great game against the Blue Jackets. Now, let's make my evaluation for the 2 players from the Laval Rocket. First, Joshua Roy did not cover Fantilli on the 2nd goal. That was his responsibility to do that in front of the net. It was not a great game overall for Joshua Roy. Did not make any impact or show to the Montreal Canadiens he deserved to stay with the team for the full year. Jared Davidson, for the 2nd game, have another great game. First of all, play over 9 minutes this time, have 4 hits during the game, 1 shot on the net. And you can see the difference between Davidson and Roy. The urgency is right there for Davidson versus Roy. And that's gave you guys my review of the game between the Montreal Canadiens and the Columbus Blue Jackets. Let's move on now for my stood out, obscure, and the player at the office and the turning point from this game between the Montreal and Columbus. Here we go. My stood out player, guys, I have to go with Lennartson. I said the last couple of days, if Montreal want to bounce back and play better, it starts with Lennartson. Lennartson, the last 5, 6, 7 games, is struggling. But last night, he stepped up, and that's the reason Montreal get 1 point. And Montreal slowly populate. They're getting back what it was before. Good game against Boston, 0 point. Good game last night against Columbus, 1 point. We're going to see what they're going to do against Washington and Toronto and the next 2 games. My obscure, Sakowski. 0 point on the score sheet, but Sakowski played, maybe in my opinion, one of his best games of the year. He was faster. He was involved. He created play. He was dangerous in front of the net. For me, Sakowski played a solid game for the Montreal Canadiens, but unfortunately at 0 point on the score sheet. At the office and buy him a ticket to return to Laval because Roy does not deserve to stay with the team. I think Montreal should call up a player like Belzile, Dauphin, Farrell, Condotta, at this moment. Now, you asking me last night, why not Florent Jacquet or Owen Beck? They don't deserve it. Why? Because we want more from them with Laval Rocket. We want them to deserve it. We want them to be rewarded when you go to play better with the Laval Rocket. Yes, they have a good weekend. Florent Jacquet scored his 2nd goal. Beck scored 1 goal, 1 assist, but it's not good enough to get a call up. For me, a player with more experience could play with the Montreal Canadiens, and that would give a chance to compete against Joe Veleno, by the way. Finally, my turning point of the game, guys, is honestly the 2 goals during the 3rd period. Another game when Montreal come back during that period, but not good enough to get the W. But at the end of the day, better performance overall for the Montreal Canadiens, and they return on the ice Thursday night against the Washington Capitals at the Bell Center. Saturday, again at home, against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's talk about the NHL news today, what I learned since the beginning of the season. First, many injuries in NHL. Many fans last night complaining about Montreal prone injury, Cooley, Doc, Newhook. We have 141 players out on ER, on LTER. It's amazing for me. 141. It's approximately over 3.2 players per team with injuries. That's crazy. That's insane. But what's the reason behind that? Easy for me. The schedule. The schedule is too demanding for the player. Back-to-back game, 3 games a fortnight, 4 games a 6 night, 5 games a 9 nights. And with the Olympics, the schedule is so compressed, players have no time to recover. They have no time to practice anymore. And it's not going to be better. Next year, we have 84 games. This is a huge problem in NHL. What I learned also, we have too many overtime this year. Usually, an average is 21.3. Right now, we are at 28.5. That's insane. Too many overtime. And the reason the standing is so close is because everybody get 1 point at the end of the night. That's the reason. Edmonton played 9 games since the beginning of the season and overtime. They are 5-4. This approximately 25% of the game they play in overtime. 15 teams have a minimum of 6 games in overtime. That's crazy. That's another reason why the standing is so close between teams. Finally, what I learned is this Thursday, we're going to hit the first quarter in NHL, 328 games. But we already know the season is over. White flag for Calgary, Nashville, and the St. Louis Blues. Expect some trade very soon by the Blues, by the Calgary, and by the Nashville. Colorado is the only team lost 1 game only in regular time. Impressive. Calgary is the only team has only 5 wins this season. And finally, Edmonton have only 4 wins regular time this year. That's blew my mind when I read that information about the Edmonton Oilers. And that's how we got today on the special edition of the Hockey Nation. And of course, it's your turn to leave me a comment below this video about who is your stood out player for the Montreal Canadiens or your obscure, or maybe about what do you think about many injuries in NHL or the overtime situation. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, click on the likes, become a member of the channel, and we wish you an amazing, great, blessing day. And mes amis, remember, you have greatness inside of you.